Right. So now for something completely different. Well, maybe not completely different, but quite a bit different. Right. So Kim Victoria here. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. This is rather different. It really is different. I've never done one quite like this before. So what I had was someone had given me this piece of Hessian, I guess you'd call it, super, super wide weave, probably some kind of sack material. And I don't know, she had that and she was giving it away. And I went, well, I'm sure I can come up with something. Well, you can see I did come up with something, but it's really coarse stuff. It actually feels really nice. It's fun. And then I had coffee dyed a bit of this muslin or calico, depending upon what neck of the woods you are from. But yeah, it's just lightweight cotton. And I went, oh, might as well throw it in the bath and see what happens. And I got this kind of fun stripy pattern. And so I went, okay, I'm going to make a journal cover. And here it is. Um, but I go, well, then what am I going to do with it after that? So, yeah. So it is, the Hessian is on the cotton, and it was a bit tricky. There was a lot of pinning involved. So I decided I would play around with making a signature that was, well, the whole theme. I like themes. The theme became texture. Okay, so now I had to pull out everything in my stash that had to do with texture. So the cover was a bit tricky. Now, I need to ask, I have enough of this Hessian and enough of this cotton that I could make another one. But, you know, do you want to see how I made this cover? So please let me know, and I will make another journal cover and you get to watch. So let me know in the comments if you want to see how I did this. And the fun thing is you really can't see. I did stitch it to the cotton and then I glued it to the cardboard. So I'll show you that on the inside. But this is all sewn on. And originally, I was going to put some cardboard in the spine, but I wound up not doing that because it wound up being a really nice, flexible, just having the fabric. And you can see I put some fabric on the inside. So it's this cotton fabric on the outside and the inside. And yeah, it's strong enough. It's just fine. So that's how I did that. But let me know. Let me know. I need to hear from y'all to know what you'd like to watch me make so that I can help you to make similar things. You could do this with a burlap, something that's not quite such a loose weave. This is very loose weave, as you can see. So yeah, I had to pin it a lot, a huge amount. And I had to kind of scrunch it up in the middle a little bit, but it worked out great. So anyway, it's all stitched onto the fabric, and I stitched it down about every 2 inches onto the fabric. And yeah, so then on the inside, so here's the other piece of fabric, but I didn't put that down until after I had turned over the edges. You can get an inkling of that from the corners. You can see that I folded the cotton into the center onto the cardboard. I also glued my closure onto the cardboard, and then I put some sturdy, the more of the cardstock kind of scrapbook paper. And after I had glued the front and back on, then I glued another piece of fabric on because I realized I did not need a cardboard spine. It's just fine because it's got the Hessian, it's got 2 layers of the cotton fabric, and I only wanted to do a single signature. So it wound up being kind of a fat single signature, but I wanted it a little fatter after I made it because, well, I could because the fabric spine wound up being wide enough to accommodate that. So anyway, yeah. So we have the offcuts from the scrapbook cardstock. I made two pockets, one for the front, one for the back. This one is flat and just glued on flat. And this one I folded under the sides so that it has a little more room to put something in. Okay, so this is just a little booklet. I stapled it, some of my coffee dyed paper. Right, and this was a box. Um, I think it had soap in it. I honestly don't remember. And so texture, okay, texture. The whole thing is about texture. So we have some scrapbook papers, yes, but even the scrapbook papers, some of them have a little bit different texture. And so this box, it's a corrugated kind of little box, so it gives you that kind of fun texture and visual texture. So I wanted some visual texture. So, we have this kind of grungy look with a bit of that writing appearance. So visual texture. And my coffee dyed paper, it has a little bit different texture to it. So everything in this journal, I really wanted to get as much texture as possible. Now, this cardstock was in my stash, and it has kind of a shiny, glittery sort of thing. So it has a little bit different texture. I used some more muslin to create. This was kind of fun. I hadn't done it this way before, but I stapled a piece of muslin on to the card, and then I folded up the extra and glued it down over the staples. So, you can see a little bit of the staples there, but it's all hidden away. I did a lot of stitching, so you can see the stitching on there and the stitching on here. So I took the pages to the sewing machine quite a bit. And then my final touch, after the whole thing was assembled, it needed something, so I did some stenciling. That was the touch it needed. This is a writing journal. There's 80 pages front and back. Now, unlike on this page, you could write on this, not write, but you could doodle on this. You could go around with a pen and you could do a little embellishing with a pen and kind of outline the shapes. This is a wallpaper. A bit of a roll was given to me, very textural. I mean, there's no way you could. I don't know. I've changed the settings on the sound, but it's very textural. It's very 3D. It was kind of an ivory white. I hope you can see a bit of that. But I just took some vintage photo and just rubbed it over the top, and around the edges to get a little bit, enhance that texture more visually, and then it's also touchy-feely, right? And I had put it in some tea dye or coffee dye, I'm not sure which, because this was one of those pre-pasted wallpapers. So it got sticky, but being in the bath of coffee or tea, I don't remember which, it dissolved off some of that paste. So it's just fine, but it has a unique texture too. So of course, vellum, another kind of texture. This was a piece of scrapbook paper, and I decided I would just decoupage on some tissue paper. So that would have a texture. Some ledger paper, just another little piece of some kind of scrap, and I put a little hinge on that. I added some, oh yes, yeah, and that created a bit of a tab. So I played with tabs a little bit. This is some cotton braid ribbon. So that gives you another texture, and some lace, another texture, some visual stenciling, and some sewing. Now this is actual fabric. I have some upholstery fabric samples, and I wanted to think about how I could use that. So it's glued onto some papers, and yeah, it's just so another texture. visual texture, some more stenciling, just a little dyed paper, something scrappy bit from the stash. So there's this junk in here. Definitely packaging paper junk because that was really dark paper. So had to put some writing space there. This was paper that I crinkled up and then dyed all crinkly, sewn on some lace. This is Architect's graph paper. So it has a different sound to it too. And this was from a yard sale, an architect who had passed away, and I got a couple of rolls of his Architect paper. Good find, you know, and coffee dyed. And I just folded it over to strengthen that edge a little bit. Okay, brown packaging paper. Has another sound, another texture. And this was just a long piece that I folded in half this way, and then these corners were folded down. You can see how this is folded down. This was just folded down and then just glued it shut. Right. So little journaling spot. Okay, this is, okay, so this is just some brown printer paper, and I stitched on, this is from a sack of potatoes. And it's cool because you can, you know, you could see through it. So I did a little bit of gluing. I folded down the edge so it would strengthen it a little bit, and I thought it would make a cool pocket. So did a cutout. So this is just a bit of scrapbook paper that can be tucked in there. Anyway, so fun. Yeah, it goes all the way around to the other side, as you'll see. Couple of dictionary. This is a old vintage dictionary. So I glued a couple of pages together to get the width, and then you can't really see it. Whoops. You could kind of see it there. So I did glue them together, but then I stitched on both sides. And then I covered with a strip of paper so there's some writing space. But the dictionary pages go all the way out. Another scrapbook. This was just a little thrift store find. It was a bag full of different kinds of ribbon that had already been cut. And this is very textural. It's a different kind of texture. Again, really about texture. So that's kind of a fun, different texture. Here is some, I got this at a thrift store. It was a kind of burlap that was already pre-mounted on a kind of paper. So I had a little bit of that left. So I made, you could see I made a couple of tabs and a couple of pockets. So I used that all up. And just another little journaling spot. Again, I was looking for visual texture. This is definitely a visual kind of texture. And then we have some of this jute kind of, or what is it called? I can't think of what it's called for some reason. But yeah, just another kind of texture. And this is very slick scrapbook. This is actually from the cover of a scrapbook pad, 12 by 12. So these were from the cover. So it's slick. So a different kind of texture again. I know, I keep going on about the texture. Some graph paper. This was another kind of a roll of packaging paper that I got at a thrift store. Some more of that wallpaper. Another nice piece of that burlap paper with a different kind of scrapbook paper that I glued on. So yeah, really going for the texture. This was some Easter egg dyed paper that I really scrunched up while it was wet and then sprayed on it. And so I got that fun texture. You can really feel it, not in the camera, but yeah, it's really fun. And this is a paper bag. So, paper bag, another journaling spot. And it's a really loose paper bag. It could hold quite a bit. So, have to put a paper clip on that one. There we go. And then for the middle, I used coloring book page and added this kind of cotton lace, and again, another kind of texture. And I did a little distressing to make it harmonize with the whole visual aspect of the journal. This is the other side of the paper bag. A little flip out, another burlap on there. And so this is with one more scrap of the burlap. So makes a little belly band. And another piece of that wallpaper with distressing on it to skimmed the dauber over the top. And some variety of calendar pages and journaling. And it is stitched. 3-hole pamphlet stitch. 2-hole pamphlet stitch. Yep, just 2 holes. And this whole journal I stitched together with some waxed cord, actual bookbinding cord. And then here is another piece of that potato bag plastic. So these are actually, I don't have anything in there, but so this makes a pocket on this side and a pocket on this side. And the scrapbook paper makes a pocket on the inside. And this is another part of the cover from that scrapbook pad. And again, this is a piece of that cotton fabric stapled onto the tag and then fold up the cotton fabric with glue to cover the staples. It makes a great tag. So yeah, something could go inside both sides of this potato bag. And it's stitched. It's white thread, so it's really hard to see. So it might have been nice to do it with a dark brown thread, but it's just what was in the bobbin. Some more from that cover, another piece of that burlap, a little more texture. And I glued on some other paper over the scrapbook paper to reinforce the edge so that it would be stronger. I did that on both sides. Another piece of that strange kind of ribbon. The other side of the dictionary pages. And there's another one of the potato bag with a big tag inside. Yeah. The other side of this was the packaging paper folded up and folded in with another journaling card. Architect's paper, some more lace sewn on into a pocket, and some more of that kind of glittery paper that I glued on some dyed paper for journaling. And the other side of packaging paper. And here's that fabric sample, more texture. And this is the last of the cover of that scrapbook paper. And did some cord on the top of that for a different texture yet. Visual, lace, some more of that cord, a little flip up. And the decoupaged tissue paper. And yes, I always put my name and how you can get a hold of me in my journals. The vellum and the wallpaper, corrugated box. And this is packaging. It's flat packaging, and you can see a bit of the flatness. That is, I received something that had this as you expand it and it becomes bulkier, so it's packaging material. And so I ironed it. I ran it under the iron so that I could use it as this belly band and sewed it on. I didn't glue it at all. I just sewed it on. And it makes a great belly band. And because this is such a lumpy journal, of course, I had to make just a writing board because it really needed it. And that fits in there nicely. But it tends to slip around, so I did decide I needed to add a paper clip. Okay, and on the back cover, this is a piece of that wallpaper that I let soak in coffee. And it bled all, look at that, it bled all the way through because I let it soak. And I got that great bleed through effect. It's really cool. Came out so dark. It was quite a surprise. I'm going to have to try that again because I've got quite a bit of it. And yeah, so, and this was from a yard sale where it was a quilter and she was selling this bag full of pre-cut quilt strips. So I've got a whole bunch of those. And I just ran it through the sewing machine and turned it right side out so that I would have some ties. So here we go. It's a texture journal. It's all about texture. So if you love texture, yeah, this is perfect for you. It's a great writing journal. And yes, it's all about texture. So I hope you picked up a few ideas if you are a journal maker. And, let me know again if you're interested in seeing some of the things that I made. Love to hear from you. I always check out all the comments and respond. And thank you so much for watching. Yes, I do hope you got some fun ideas to add to your own creative process. And that's all for today. Thank you. Bye for now.